Hey, good morning. I'm Paige Browning. It's Wednesday. This is Seattle Now. If you've taken a trip through Sea-Tac Airport lately, you'll notice that things are under construction. From widening roads to revamping the C Concourse, there are a lot of changes being made ahead of this summer's World Cup, and not a lot of time to do it. Patricia Murphy interviews Seattle Times business reporter Lauren Rosenblatt, and we'll hear them break down the Sea-Tac construction jam in a minute. But first, let's get you caught up. The number of people getting the flu has spiked in Washington state, and it's sending people to the hospital. As of early January, influenza accounted for 3.6% of all emergency visits, according to state health officials. They say it's not too late to get vaccinated for this year. Last year's flu season was rough. More than 500 people died in Washington. UW Medicine says this year is looking similar. Housing's at the forefront during this first week of the legislative session in Olympia. The state Senate will hold public hearings today on several of these bills. One would allow more density on land that's controlled by religious organizations if the project includes affordable housing. Today's hearing's at 10:30, streaming live on TVW. And vinyl is back. And no, we're not talking about your record collection. Sound Transit's in the process of replacing cloth seats on light rail trains with vinyl. The agency says the change grew out of feedback from riders who had concerns about cleanliness and stains. Sound Transit says the blue vinyl seats are easier to clean, cheaper, and potentially more durable. Check back for more headlines on tonight's episode of Seattle Now. On to today's show, here's your host, Patricia Murphy.
In just 6 months, Seattle will be hosting an anticipated 750,000 visitors for the World Cup. They all have to get here somehow. Many will be landing at Sea-Tac Airport, bringing some extra chaos to an already crowded space. But the Port of Seattle has embarked on more than 100 projects to meet the demand for the World Cup and the demand that comes with servicing an ever-growing region. Seattle Times business reporter Lauren Rosenblatt is here to talk about those projects and Sea-Tac's future. Lauren, good to see you. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So Sea-Tac Airport is not for the faint of heart. For travelers and people trying to get to their traveler, the concourse is constantly jammed. The TSA lines are long. They can be unpredictable. Let's talk about some of the problems the airport is trying to address.
Yeah, so the main problem, like you said, is overcrowding. There's a lot of demand, and the demand just keeps increasing as Seattle's population continues to grow and more people want to come here for work and leisure. So you might remember back in 2022, kind of one of the most picturesque, I guess, illustrations of the problem. The TSA security line stretched out into the parking lot. So since then, the lines are not quite as long, but that was kind of an example of how crowded the airport can get. And then even once you're through security, a lot of passengers say it's just difficult to get around the airport. Everything is crowded. It's hard to move. It's hard to navigate. The main concern is that there are just too many people going through Sea-Tac.
You just returned from a trip. Let's get a status check. What do we know about how Sea-Tac is functioning right now?
Yeah, so we know right now that Sea-Tac is very crowded and that it's frustrating for passengers getting through, but there are some improvements. So that's all based on a study from J.D. Power, which consistently tracks customer satisfaction at airports. So a couple years ago, Sea-Tac was ranked the third worst mega airport in the country.
Wow.
It's gone up a little bit, and then this year it dropped back down to the fourth worst airport in the 2025 study. And based on those results, travelers say it's difficult to move through the airport. That's both at security lines and after you're through security and just making your way to your gate and moving through the hallways. And they complain about the aged facilities. In an interview, one of the authors' studies described Sea-Tac as it could be more exciting, more modern, and less cramped.
Okay. Well, the Port of Seattle has a plan. There are 2 active expansions going on right now. What are they?
Yeah, there's 2 buckets of projects happening right now. One is a long-term project called the Sustainable Airport Master Plan. The port started studying it several years ago when they noticed an increase in demand and believed that demand was going to keep increasing and they were going to run out of space. So that's a longer-term bucket. They've carved out 31 near-term projects from that plan that they hope to have complete or underway by 2032. And that plan includes the second terminal, which will add 19 gates. That plan just moved forward, and the approval process underwent an environmental review from the FAA, but it still has a long way to go before those projects would get started. In the short term, they have another bucket of projects called Upgrade C, and that's about $5 billion and more than 100 projects that are meant to improve passengers' experience from the curbside to the gates. So that includes a ton of different things like restroom renovations, security checkpoints, roadway changes, and one of the big ones is the C Concourse renovation.
I cannot imagine who is trying to coordinate all of these projects all at once. Why so many things at one time? Is there actually a benefit to starting this all together?
They've all been going on for a long time, so they've kind of start them not necessarily all together. They start them, but they take a long time. It's just takes a lot of work to construct these types of things. But largely, the airport can't stop operating, so they do them in chunks, and they have to keep other parts of the airport open while they have to close some down. And it's all a strategic plan to keep the airport moving as efficiently as possible before it kind of hits its capacity and it can't operate efficiently anymore.
Let's talk about that C Concourse. What will it look like in its new formation? I end up there an awful lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
I actually don't really know that I saw it before the renovation, so I'll be curious to see what you think of it when it's done.
Yeah.
They are completely redoing the Sea Concourse. It's supposed to be open before the World Cup, sometime this spring, summer, and they're building it up, basically. They're adding 4 new floors. One of the big centerpieces is what they call the tree at sea, which is meant to look like a tree made of hemlock panels, and it'll have bleacher-style seating. There's also going to be a stage. They're going to have some live music, and there's going to be an outdoor space that you can go step outside.
Onto the tarmac? Just you and the jet fuel.
Yeah.
I love it.
They call it a viewing platform. And similarly, I was really excited about the idea of standing outside, but my colleague went to tour it, get an update on the construction, and she did say it smelled like jet fuel.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe not for everybody, but for some people. All right. Well, the second big change is a second terminal. So what did the port say about the need for more space?
The second terminal is part of that long-term sustainable airport master plan. And essentially, they just think they need more gates. They just need more space for passengers and planes coming in and out. They considered a couple different options. The second terminal was the one that they thought was the best because it also would provide more landside space, so basically more room for cars to pull up and drop passengers off or pick them up. So it provided more relief in multiple areas. That terminal is not guaranteed yet. It still needs to go through some approvals, and the port isn't entirely sure, on what it would look like or what it would be called. There's still a lot of unknowns about it.
Yeah, not everybody is happy about that terminal expansion. There are some cities around the airport where people are unhappy. What's going on there?
Yeah, so that unhappiness is not specific to the terminal. It's specific to Sea-Tac's expansion in general. 3 cities filed an appeal to the FAA's environmental review of the Sustainable Airport Master Plan near-term projects, including the terminal. But basically, those cities said they didn't think the review adequately assessed the impact that Sea-Tac's expansion would have on their communities. They're worried about noise levels and harmful pollution as more and more airplanes are flying over their communities. So that's tapped into really long-held concerns that they've had. They've worried about it before. They've tried to take other actions, but this is another chance to kind of prompt even further review of what it would mean for those communities nearby.
Yeah, we have spoken to people who live around the airport who have to do extra maintenance on their outdoor furniture because it is covered with, black fallout from whatever is coming down from the sky.
Sure. Yeah.
It was shocking, actually, to see what they have to deal with.
Yeah, the port's response to those concerns. They say that basically that increased demand is coming no matter what. The planes will keep flying. The residents will keep having to deal with that. So they said that these expansion projects won't make it any worse because the anticipated demand is still going to come.
Yeah, there is the regional growth and there is the timing of the World Cup, Lauren. How ready is the port feeling for the World Cup right now? What is realistic to get done before June?
Yeah, I mean, I think the port feels excited. They've put out a lot of statements about how excited they are to welcome visitors, especially through Sea-Tac. So Upgrade C is kind of loosely supposed to be done by the World Cup. It was a 5-year project, kind of a loose timeline.
Sure.
And the port when my colleague went to tour the C Concourse construction recently, the port said that wasn't necessarily the plan all along. They kind of already had this timeline in place. And then the World Cup just became a really great milestone of, we'll definitely get these things done before that since it's coming here. So a couple of big projects that they want to have done by World Cup, the C Concourse renovation, they want to have that reopened. They want to finish something called the Sea Gateway project, which is a change to the ticketing and security area at the north end of the terminal. They've already started opening some of that. That's a partnership with Alaska Airlines. They'll finish that up. And then they want to do some roadway changes, including adding 2 lanes to the Northern Airport Expressway, which should ease some of the traffic for cars coming in and out of the airport.
Deadlines are super helpful for these kinds of projects, Lauren. But what happens after the World Cup? Should we expect a slowdown in construction, more construction?
Construction will continue after the World Cup. Some of these projects will end. They already have other ones lined up, including the S Concourse. They want to do a full remodel of that, but they're waiting until after the World Cup because they don't want to have to close any parts of that concourse while we have this surge in travelers, particularly international travelers. Construction won't stop. The projects will change slightly as they move on to other things on their checklist, but they have years of projects, billions of dollars worth of projects that are still on their list.
All right. Well, it sounds like traveling through Sea-Tac Airport is a test of patience maybe for the next few months, and you should employ that traveler's mindset as soon as you hit the airport and make it about the journey and not the destination.
Yeah.
Lauren Rosenblatt, as a Seattle Times reporter, really appreciate it. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Hey, appreciate you listening to Seattle Now, and thank you to our generous donors for your support. Thank you so much. You can donate to Seattle Now by clicking the link in the show notes and support us by following, rating, and reviewing the show on your podcast app. Today's episode was produced by Vaughn Jones. It was edited by Caroline Chamberlain-Gomez. Our production team also includes Andy Hurst, Brooklyn Jamerson Flowers, and the host you heard, Patricia Murphy. Greg Kramer does our theme music. Seattle Now and KUOW Public Radio are members of the NPR network. I'm Paige Browning. See you soon.